project, and it's the fundamental project. The State Council and Central Party Committee attach great importance to work in this regard. At this special time, General Secretary Xi Jinping deployed the prevention control of the COVID-19, as well as social and economic development. Stabilization of employment is a major task in front of us. Especially, there are requirements of specific groups, such as the employment of university graduates, so that they can graduate and get jobs in a smooth fashion. And we also would boost the returning of migrant workers, especially those in poverty-stricken areas. Premier Li Keqiang held multiple standing committee meetings to stress the importance of the employment and policies of university graduates and migrant workers. These arrangements and deployments have showcased the importance that is attached to work in this regard. Currently, the outbreak has caused impact on the social and economic development, and of course, employment is not immune from the situation. Our ministry will be prioritize work in this regard, stabilize economy and expand employment, support the development of businesses, and give priority to key groups, as well as strengthen trainings in order to improve the employment-related aids and assistance, and implement policies and coordinate development. We will use more specific and targeted measures to help the college students and migrant workers to realize employment and return to their job positions, so as to maintain the stability of the employment situation as a whole. Now, Ms. Wang, please. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends from the press, good morning. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the State Council and the Central Party Committee attach importance to the employment of university graduates. General Secretary Xi Jinping have made instructions on improving the employment situation for college graduates. And Premier Li Keqiang also made related remarks. Today we have more than 8 million college graduates, and we are facing with challenges to begin with, and added up with the risks of the outbreak, it has deteriorated the situation. And our ministry will be working with other departments to expand employment scope and open up more opportunities for further education. And we will make endeavors in the following aspects. First, to maximize employment opportunities, we'll be working with the Ministry of Human Resources to stabilize the fundamentals of employment for college graduates. As Mr. You have mentioned, from the perspective of Ministry of Human Resources, the fundamentals are important to college graduates' employment situation. Besides, we will also be strengthening fundamental education, as well as the job positions at the grassroots medical services, and encourage more graduates to enter the army. And we will encourage the college students to seek jobs at the grassroots level. Second, expand channel for college graduates to seek further to continue their learnings. We need to take into consideration the capacity at university and also take into consideration the strategically important disciplines and majors. On the premise of ensuring the educational quality, expand the recruitment of postgraduate studies, as well as strengthen the applied disciplines. We will also be encouraging the recruitment of technical related majors. And we will be expanding the scope for professional degrees to turning into university and college degrees. 3, expand the recruitment channels. We have held 12 major online job-seeking market, and this effort will be continuing, and 18 such events is about to come. We also ask that the provinces and universities must strengthen these relevant trainings and expand the job positions to match the need of the enterprises with the supply of talents from universities. And online job-seeking, job-hunting conferences must be increased. We have already selected 5 companies with large scope and positions. For example, Boss Employment, China HR, and Liepin.com. We're working with these 5 businesses under the support of the MOE. They will be opening up special section for campus recruitment, which gives free access to the university students. The university students are very much concerned with the credibility of the employers, so that we urge these platforms to do a careful review of the company's background before posting their information online. We have been working on this project for about 2 weeks, and today this section is officially online, and we have opened up this online services today officially. So it's working 24 hours a day and 365 days a year. So we do not have a break and holidays for this service. The platform is open to college graduates for free and without the necessity of meeting with your employers in person. 4, we will be providing more specific instructions in work in this regard. The college and universities have to pay attention to each and every college graduate, all of the relevant staff members, their supervisors must pay attention to the employment situation of each graduate, and they need to conduct this individualized instructions and guidance. and recommend job positions that is suitable to their needs. We'll also be guiding the graduates to find their direction of employment and adjust their expectations. We're hoping that all of them can find a job that is suitable for them. Now I'm willing to take your questions. Please identify yourself first. With the Pengpai Media, and today we have more than 8 million graduates, which is up by 400,000 compared to last year. And this is a large group of people, plus that for the stock number of last year. So this is a critical juncture for employment. What impact does the outbreak have on them, and what kind of measures will the Ministry of Human Resources be taking to address the challenges? Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the employment of the college graduates is severely challenged because it's a two-way choices, and in most cases the graduate have to meet with the employers. But after the outbreak, it has made it much more difficult for both sides to meet. But we still have to expand employment channels for the graduates. We have to provide them with enough channels and positions, which is fundamental to our work and also a key element to our work. So the MOE will be expanding the employment channels from the following aspects. First is the focus on the national strategies. Despite the challenges that we're facing, we're also seeing new momentum, as well as a renovation and upgrade of traditional momentum, in which large amount of opportunities are underlying. We encourage the graduates to seek jobs in the major projects and important fields. I think this percentage in this regard needs to be increased. We believe that after this epidemic is past, this talent in this regard are also needed. Second, we encourage employment in key areas. For example, primary and high school teachers, especially the teachers in kindergartens and high schools. After the reform of the entrance exam, we are lacking talents in this regard. So more job opportunities in that regard. And we also encourage students from normal universities to take jobs in these areas. That is the second aspect. 3, we would lead grassroots level employment. The grassroots level is a grand university and school, as well as a major employer for college graduates. We will continue to carry out plans in rural and grassroots level. And we have many plans, such as the Western Plan and the college students working in villages. We would also implement provincial policies to encourage SMEs to take on college students. The SMEs are one of the major employers in terms of employment. I look at the numbers of the last 3 years, about 60% of the college students took jobs in SMEs. So the Ministry of Human Resources and MOE will create more favorable conditions for them. If all of those policies can be fully implemented, that would be a great boost for college graduates' employment this year. 4, we encourage college students to be recruited in armies. We would carry out policies such as early start of physical exams. And in the past, each year, the recruitment is about 400 to 500,000. And this year, we will expand the scope, and we will give provincial policies to college graduates. We would encourage the graduates to be recruited in armies. 5, to diversify ways of employment, including service order, technological development, and paid content. We would encourage college graduates to seek jobs in service sectors and education, medicine, and welfare and pension care, which is much needed in people's daily life. So those are the measures that will be taken to expand the scope of employment. The employment of university graduates is very important because it has to do with the personal future, with the happiness of the family, and the future of our country. Today, we are hitting a new high in terms of the scope and numbers of graduates, and that is over 8 million. Last year, during the autumn employment season, we are working with MOE to issue a series of measures to give an early head start in terms of employment. But the outbreak has indeed constituted major pressure on employment. This is actually a golden season for spring employment. The outbreak have actually caused a decrease in terms of recruitment, and all the offline job-seeking markets have been suspended, and their internship are also suspended. Many graduates feel anxious about it, and we have the deepest empathy for them. But we have always attached importance to work in this regard. The General Secretary has made several remarks in terms of graduate employment. So we've been working with MOE to cope with the challenges we have and have implemented a series of measures to expand the channels for employment and expedite the issuing of entrepreneurship as well as the job in grassroots levels. We will make endeavors to discover more job opportunities. Second, to optimize the recruitment process and kickstart this online employment platforms. And organize job consultant to open up training courses online. Once the epidemic comes to a close, we would mobilize all relevant institutions and service providers to carry out offline job markets. We will also be organizing internship projects so as to improve the capabilities of the graduates. We will also be giving subsidies for enterprises that provide internship positions for the graduates. For the unemployed students, we will be sharing information with the MOE and establish files for them and pay special attention to the vulnerable families and students and conduct one-on-one help and services to them. We will give special attention to universities in Hubei province and students of Hubei households and provide them with equal job opportunities. We will make endeavors to make sure that we can provide the best possible environment for the employment of college graduates. With CMG and CCTV, a question goes to Mr. You. In a standing committee meeting, stipulates that we need to improve the employment situation, expand channels for migrant workers. So, what are the status quo and challenges and measures concerning migrant workers' employment? The migrant workers are the main body of the industrial workers that amounts to about 290 million, among which 170 of them are migrants from other provinces or cities. So generally, the outbreak of the disease has a major impact on the employment because most of them are working in a flexible situation. So they are one of the most directly impacted groups. General Secretary Xi Jinping attaches great importance to this regard and made many remarks in this regarding on many occasions, and we will be acting according to General Secretary's instructions and under the prerequisite of doing our job in terms of prevention and control of the disease. We will also be encourage and boost employment in the following regard. First is to organize partial returning of the migrant workers through the donation and contract of shuttles to organize the returning of migrant workers in low-risk regions. Second, we will help with the online recruitment platforms and online video interviews. We will help the enterprises to recruit a new group of migrant workers. We will also encourage that the agriculture industry take up partly the labor forces. We encourage the migrant workers to stay in our hometown and participate in agricultural activities for the spring. We will also be discovering the potential in major projects. 4, we will establish online training services and training programs as well as financial support for them to encourage them to seek entrepreneurship. 6, we will help with the transferring of of jobs and would encourage the migrant workers to take on other jobs such as janitor work as well as other job position in the places where they are staying. In terms of the stabilization of employment, what are the relevant measures concerning the stabilization of wage and salary? If I'm understanding correctly, that question mainly points to the difficulties that is faced by the enterprises and businesses in operation. First, we would encourage businesses and employment to negotiate the salary scheme, shorten working hours, and take rotations to stabilize the wage as well as the employment situation, because the enterprises and the employees are on this boat together and have to weather the storm together. Second, to reduce burdens for the enterprises, for example, reduction of social insurance fees and to increase subsidies, include in terms of employment. And we would advise that the enterprises would lay off as less workers as possible. And if there is a layoff situation that has to happen, we would also guard against illegalities during this process. With China Daily, on the 25th, the Standing Committee have implemented many measures concerning the employment situation of this year, and one of them expand the scope of postgraduate recruitment. So can you tell us more about the measures in that regard? The expansion of postgraduate this year is one of the important decisions made by the Central Party Committee and State Council. This is an important strategic decision made on the side of the State Council. Then MOE will continue to act according to this decision, and first, we would make plans as to the expansion of recruitment. With the support of relevant departments, we will taking into consideration comprehensively development of education and universities as well as financial situation. We will make an estimation of the scope of or the number of supervisors. We have right now 12,000 postgraduate disciplines or schools, and we have made a detailed calculation of that. And as to the numbers of supervisors, there are altogether 440,000 supervisors. On top of that, we will be identifying the scope of expansion and give more priority to Midwestern area and northeastern areas of China. We will be expanding the scope by 189,000 compared to last year, and the upgrade from junior college students to university students will be increasing by 332,000 compared to last year. We'll also be exercising these policies in a scientific manner because all of this have to do under the condition or the prerequisite that the quality of education would not be affected. Second, as to where this suspension is happening, because the human resources has to go to the place where they are most needed, including the welfare areas where human resources shortage is severe. For example, clinical medicine, public health, circuits, AI. And these are professional degrees, that is, high-level applied talents. And for the upgrade of junior college to university, and it will be focusing on applied majors. For people with a vocational educational background or with academic degrees, we encourage the transform into applied majors such as clinical medicines and welfare management and pension management, as well as e-commerce. In the future, we believe that the needs for human resources will increase in these areas. 3, we will also be guaranteeing the service quality in terms of employment and recruitment. The cultivation after recruitment is also essential. 为新华 News Agency, question goes to Mr. Wong. Is there any update about the entrance exam of this year? Will the entrance exam be postponed? The entrance exam for college is a project of major interest of a lot of the families and one of the biggest priorities of the MOE. And we are following closely the changes of the outbreak and will make a decision based on all the factors combined. On the one hand, we are consulting with relevant departments and localities to judge the development of this epidemic. On the other hand, we are also organizing experts to evaluate the impact of the epidemic on transportation, the management of examination locations, because this is a matter that concerns more than 10 million students, as well as the manufacture of the examination papers, as well as the classroom teaching for high school. But all in all, the entrance examinations adjustment, if any, has to give priority to the health and safety of all the participants, including students, teachers, and administrators. We understand that the students and parents of Senior 3 are very much concerned with updates in this area, and we will be answering to your questions and your concerns, and give prudent decisions and plans and arrangement accordingly. with Hong Kong Economic Herald. Faced with this outbreak, what is the situation for the employment of a poverty-stricken population, and what kind of measures will the ministry be taking to address relevant challenges? The employment of one may mean the poverty alleviation of a whole family. Last year, there are 20 million people that are from poverty-stricken households that are seeking employment outside their hometown. But the outbreak has exerted an important influence and impact on work in this regard. Many migrant workers cannot return to their positions, and there's also a diminishing job positions at grassroots levels. And so we are facing mounting pressure. And General Secretary Xi Jinping attached great importance to this and had pointed out specifically to encourage poverty alleviation through the form of job provision. Recently, our ministry worked with the Poverty Alleviation Office of the State Council, strengthened work in the following aspects and priorities. First, encourage some of the enterprises with fees in terms of poverty alleviation to restore production as soon as possible. And second is to prioritize the poor population as the most preferred groups of seeking employment, and they will be transported to their job positions, to their locations through contracted shuttles and other ways. 3, we would give subsidies to relevant enterprises and agricultural enterprises to take on labor forces. Fourth, we will encourage employment to the epidemic-related enterprises employment. We also help the local enterprises to settle the labor forces. And fifth, to give priority to poverty-stricken areas and population, give them special attention and concern, and conduct online trainings to improve their capacities. 2 priorities. First, for the most affected poverty-stricken areas, we'll give them more financial support and more job positions. And second priority is the epicenter of the disease, such as Hubei. We'll also give them more lenient policies. Currently, we have to do these 2 tasks together, and we would not hesitate to continue to advance work in this regard and improve the support on the poverty-stricken population. With China Education TV, spring is usually a peak season for job markets, and currently all the universities have postponed their days of commencement. So how would you guide these college graduates to seek jobs under such special circumstances? On February the 5th, we have issued notice to suspend all offline job markets and activities. These events are important for job seeking of the graduates. But faced with the difficulties that we have right now, it is important for us to not let the situation have too much of an impact on the college students' employment situation. That's why we have to build information channels and platforms so that all the students can have access to the information that they need. This is one of our top priorities. At the government level, we are working through multiple levels through increased provision. At ministries level, we're also working with other departments to hold currently already 12 online job markets, and we have 18 more events to come. And we'll continue these efforts. On March, we will be holding special job markets concerning e-commerce, economic development zone, emerging industries, and key areas. Altogether, there are 6 internet recruitment and job fairs that will be held. We ask that the localities must encourage the employers to identify their prioritized development areas and encourage them to and mobilize them to increase online recruitment. In terms of the universities, we ask that the universities and colleges strengthen their connection with the employers that is closely related to the majors that they have. Despite the fact that most of the university students have not returned to the campus, online service platforms are already in place and working to provide information to the students. According to available statistics, on March, more than 20,000 job events will be held online. Of course, after the epidemic has passed, we will restore offline job market as soon as we can. But this has to be done right now through the internet. We have to work with the multiple parties, the government, the universities, as well as enterprises, to make full use of the online services. So we've asked the MOE to work with the 5 major online job platforms that I've just mentioned to carry out in-depth cooperation to provide services to the students and enterprises. Right now, the first batch of job positions amounts to 800,000. All are greatly closely connected with the students' need. That's only the first batch. Second, we also ask that the online platforms review carefully the background of the employers. We also have established a third-party complaining channels and a blacklist scheme or mechanism. And it's a shared blacklist with all of these 5 online platforms. So we must expand the channels while ensuring security and safety for employment. Through all of these efforts, we are planning to transfer most of the offline job opportunities to online in order to minimize the impact on the graduates. When we started this, we planned to put this online before the end of this month, and I can tell you that today the service is officially online. This is the homepage. These are the 5 platforms listed here. And each would have their own design of the home pages, providing free of charge services to all of the graduates. And if you're interested, you can log online yourself to check out. As of today, they already provide more than 800,000 job positions. You can log in to these websites anytime, anywhere with a cell phone, with an internet access. You can file application, or you can even sign contract. With Economic Daily, my question goes to Mr. You. After the Spring Festival, most of the migrant workers would return to their job positions, but the outbreak of disease have constituted challenges to the catering and accommodation industries. What kind of challenges would that constitute, and what measures will be taken? During the Spring Festival, there are a large number of migrant workers that would return home to celebrate the festival with their families, and they will be returning to their job positions after the Spring Festival, usually on the January the 5th or 6th of the lunar year, and after the second peak appears after the Lanterns Festival. But this year, many migrant workers dare not to return, and some of them cannot go out. Some of them are unwilling to return. That's why a lot of the enterprises in the eastern provinces are suffering from understaffed situation. And in the meantime, some migrant workers found that it's difficult to find jobs at home. To address that problem, under the prerequisite to strengthen preventive control, we have to help the migrant workers in low-risk areas to return to their positions. Here are some of the measures we have taken. First is to build platforms. We have opened up this point-to-point information platform that support enterprises to post information online for the migrant workers to return to their positions, and connect information of the labor exporters as well as importers. We will also monitor the production situation and give information to the job seekers. Second, we have built platforms together with other relevant departments to establish the service coordination mechanism, as well as information sharing system and consulting system to strengthen modulation, as well as cross-region returning challenges. This point-to-point and one-stop transportation services are provided to labor-intensive regions and enterprises. As of the 25th, we have organized special shuttles or trains to transport more than 800,000 migrant workers back to their job positions. 3, we also established this online recruitment platforms to realize online job seeking and employment services. And we have issued guidance on online recruitment so as to guarantee the safe returning of the migrant workers. There are a lot of destination of employment also have registered online to help with the returning of the migrant workers. We also prioritize the need of key enterprises. We have established a 24-hour modulation system, adjust the list of the enterprises, establish and deploy special personnel to be in charge of important tasks in this regard to address the labor shortage. Currently, we have provided the job positions for more than 7,000 key enterprises. We're also working closely with the health departments to strengthen checkups before travels and temperature monitor during work. These are needed during this special time to ensure the safety of the migrant workers. Mr. Wong, for the college graduates with employment challenges, what kind of special measures will be providing to them, especially to the Hubei University graduates? It is our priority to address the problems that is faced by the college graduates, especially those in key areas. First, we will strengthen the assistance to key groups. We will be establishing files of students from poor families and families with relatives of disabilities. And we will establish this monitor mechanism to keep a record of their situations. That's something that we have always been doing in the past. In each year during the employment season, this group of people actually has the highest amount of highest employment rate. But this year, we have a multiplied challenges for them. These files have already been established, and we will strengthen our assistance to them accordingly. Make sure that they can get the job they need. Second, to the Hubei and Wuhan college graduates, we also need to strengthen help to them. Compared to students in other areas, the Hubei students, especially those from Wuhan, are the most special group. Their time of returning to campus might be later than anybody else. So we ask that all of the universities with Hubei students to do their job in a more specific and caring way and create favorable conditions for them, not only about employment, but also about the graduate affairs, such as writing of graduate papers or the gathering of experimental statistics. These are very realistic challenges faced by our graduates. So we have issued a document on the extension of oral defense of the papers, especially to students from Wuhan, Hubei area. Usually this takes place in July, but now we ask that you can increase the number of oral defenses and the times for the academic committees to hold meetings, so that this process can be done at multiple time points. As long as the university has Hubei students, these rules apply to them. And for Hubei, for universities in Hubei, and students who are studying in Hubei universities, their time of returning will also be later than most other students. We'll also be giving preferential policies to them. We are still working them out. For example, in this grassroots level project, in recruitment plan for a postgraduate, and the junior college transformation and upgrade to university degree, we would give more provincial policies to Hubei students and universities, and we'll give them more quota in this regard. We'll also be holding online recruit activities in job markets, and we will give preferential policies for employers as for the time frame of recruitment. The time can be delayed. So these services are mainly made to help the Hubei students as well as students who are studying in Hubei universities. We're still trying to make adjustment to these measures so as to provide the biggest possible assistance to them, so that the students can rest assured. Last but not least, we'll strengthen services to all college graduates. In July, if a student does not have a job, their files can be kept at school for 2 more years. This is not a new policy, but today we will strengthen the supervision of work in this regard. If the students fail to find jobs after graduation, the university have to carefully attend to their files and keep them files in school for 2 more years. If they find a job in these 2 years, we ask that the students, the university help them with the arrangement, the registration, according to the standard of a fresh graduate. will also be monitoring work in this regard to seek to its implementation. That will give the students more time to seek the job that they love. That's all for today's press conference. I want to thank the ministers.
发布会到此结束，谢谢尤部长和翁部长，谢谢各位。谢谢。